All right, I am super excited. I'm Anthony Johnson with Delve Risk, and we've got Troy Phelps here, and I am really pumped to talk about verified events. How are you doing, Troy?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. This is
You, you,
exciting.
you ready to jump into this, man?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So cyber events. It is like this wild west. Like we have so many. We got the big conferences.
Right.
We've got little regional ones, and then there's like these dinner things, right? And we've been talking and doing stuff about verified events. But before we get into those specifically, like what's your take on the landscape of like why do we have so many boutique dinners everywhere, every city going on? What do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's an innate need that we have in the community for connection. Our jobs are thankless jobs to where we don't get credit for a lot of things that we do, and we're constantly fighting fires. So at the end of the day, you need connection. You want to be around people that get it, people that know you, people that have already welcomed you. So I think the dinners are a signal for us that we're looking for connection and we're looking for our people. And so that's what the dinners do for us. It connects us.
It's funny when we think about like 2026, right? Like, we live in this world of like AI, everything's online, and you go back to like when we were kids, and it was like, just go outside, don't come in, right? Like, and like,
Good street
it was
life.
all physical, right? Is it just us getting back to the roots of like, hey, we need that human connection? That's why we just want to break bread with people.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think so. I think after COVID, I think, obviously COVID separated us and we went into our own silos. And so now it's our coming out time, It's been some years after COVID, and I think everyone want to live out loud. It's a personal thing that I even call for myself. It's LOL, live out loud, and just reconnect with people. There's some great conversations that we have. And at the end of the day, I think we need to get back to more of a human-based ecosystem. I think our system have become too transactional, and I think that's what the dinners that we have, it does that for us. It makes this human-based connection instead of the transactional things that we're starting with.
Yeah, just the transactional email. Yeah. So, but I mean, like, but the vendors are realizing it too, right? Like they are doing so many of them, and it's because they're getting results, right? They're able to connect with people who get it. They can build, like you said, build that human connection. But it's shifted. A few years ago it was come to this dinner. We're gonna have somebody stand up and read this presentation, and then you get to eat your food. It's almost like when you go to those timeshares, you're like,
Right.
hey,
yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, I want this steak, but like, let me sit through that. But like,
yeah,
that's not how you do your verified events, is it?
No, definitely it's not. But I'm gonna answer that question. But how did you, when you go to those timeshares, how do you feel? Do you feel, is it kind of crummy? Like,
yeah, it feels like that you're like, I have to sit here, but I don't even want to pay attention. So let me just like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then like just get through it. Like, I can get back to my vacation kind of thing, right? Like,
right. Exactly.
Dinners are the same. Those dinners are the same way, but like you have a totally different way that you do your verified events. Tell me about it.
Okay, so the thing that we do in our events is it's about human connection. It's about, so all of our events are +1. So we make sure that spouses are included, and not just included. It's they have a seat at the table, and so this consumes our day. This is our life. And so, but we never had a connection to bring our life into what we do. And so we operate fractionally. And so for our events, it's bring your whole self, meaning also your partner.
Yeah. But not your kids. No kids.
But no kids. Actually, sometimes we will have events or have events planned where we'll do a movie theater or something like that.
Okay, so it depends, but generally it's your spouse or a significant other or whatever.
Right. But we are looking at that whole self instead of the fractional part of you. And so with our events, most of the time we don't do steakhouses. Most of the time we try to pick things that get us moving, just a natural movement. If we have dinners and then it's not you sit and you talk to the people at the table. We structure it to where, just think it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas dinner with family, and you actually like the family that you're having
Yeah.
dinner with. And so that's what we create, and we have real conversations about burnout, about just life, and you would be surprised the conversation that we get into, just about creating a safe space where it's not just a technical. We're there to learn, but there's hundreds of spaces like that. So let's do something different where we see the human side of us instead of just the technical hat that we wear. We're much more than that.
Yeah, I remember one of the events you did recently was, it was like pickleball and sushi. You had like, which is like the interesting intersection. You had like a private chef that like worked with the CISOs and their spouses, and they like all cooked a meal together, right? Like, how do you come up with those ideas? Or like, are you asking the community, or you're like, you know what, let's try that because it's different. Like, how do you come up with that, and how does that match to a vendor?
So the way that we came up with it, so there are some that come from just ideas from other people in the community, and we'll always take input from people in the community and then the other part of it is just, I've been in the community for over 20 years, and so I've been to enough steakhouses, steak dinners, and things of that nature, and we've all been through that. So it was like, I want to do something eclectic. I want to do something different. So if it feels different and it feels right to me, that's what I'm trying to do. What do I want to do on a Saturday afternoon? Not what am I going to do with a really stuffy, busy kind of.
Yeah, I mean, but you're bringing that to a time period during the week where where people can converge, and I think what's really particularly interesting about it is that you're right. Like, security leaders, they can afford their own steakhouse. Like well, hold on, most of them should be able to, right? And like, and so you're actually doing something that actually is memorable, right? It's not just another, dinner at the Capitol Grill or, this other, great local steakhouse, right? But it's more something like, man, you remember when we played pickleball and then we had the sushi and then we did
that's a memory. Like you said, memory, that's a connection. And that's where it does not, transactional to me, even on its surface level, transactional to me is this: we didn't create a memory and the connection stopped at the end of that dinner. The way that we put our events together, there should be a continued flow throughout the dinner. So it's not just a dinner. We have a private community where we keep the conversation going and we keep the connection going. If we were looking for connection, and then it shouldn't stop there, because I want to know you as a person. So that's why we have the events in the format that we have it. Because if I'm talking to you about real life, there's a trust that I've given, and now walls are taken down to where we actually know each other. And a lot of our community, they have couples dinners and dinners outside of the events that we have, because it's a friendship now, not just a connection because we share the same hat.
Yeah, and like, it's what I think is an interesting question that just kind of carries on is that, like, it's not like a vendor is just standing up, right? Because there's some organizers, there's like, hey, you get 5 minutes and you get 5 minutes and you get 5 minutes. What you're creating is this opportunity for them to actually like talk, get to know them, build the relationship, right? Like, whereas if it's you get 10 minutes and then just go eat in quiet, like that's not what is that, right? Like that's
no. If you think so, I often say in our, as I try to explain our format, normally you go to a steakhouse, right? And you have an open bar type thing, and it's about 15 minutes, and you maybe can mingle a little bit there. And then you sit at these circular tables, and you can't hear who's across from you, and you can only talk to the person to your right and your left. And so if I came to this event to connect, the only people that I really talked to all night was the two people to my right and my left.
Yeah.
So how does that create any type of connection with the community? And then also, I probably didn't get a chance to talk to the vendor as well. And so that's where our events are different, is because we're looking at, okay, for me, I've always bought from vendors that I trusted. I'm in a bind. I need this to come in the next, I need a quote in the next 2-3 days. And so you're going to do that with people that you trust. And so right now, I have close friends that are sales vendors, because we have went and we've had dinners through the course of years. And now they're some of my very good friends.
And you've navigated a problem, you've worked together, right? And I think that's something that a lot of these vendors need to recognize, is that they can't approach these dinners as a transaction and just new lines on the lead list, right? Like that's that's Sarah. I'm going to this thing because I need to get to know Sarah. Now, from Delve Risk's perspective, we want to give them information so that they are prepared and they know how to connect with Sarah. And then you're creating those opportunities to say, hey, you have the information. Here's how you can apply it. And here's not just the 1 to 2 people. You can mingle. You're doing these things. And it might not just be a dinner, right? I think we've talked about, you're looking at doing like a city tour, like there's a whole bunch of stuff. Is there anything that's kind of off limits? Do you do like bigger events, smaller? It's the full gambit. What does that sit for you?
Yeah. So for right now, we concentrate on doing more intimate events, because at the end of the day, if you really are trying to create connection, and then it's really hard to create connection with 120 people in the room.
Yeah.
Like you're just not, if that's the intent. So we try to stay with the smaller events. We will have maybe quarterly start having some bigger events to where we add more to it. But for now, and our starting points of doing this, it was about having an intimate event so that the vendors can actually meet the people and mingle and all of that. So that's what we're intentional about right now. I think there is more than enough technology-based dinners.
There's so many, and you're spot on, right? Like any given day, we have an event calendar we're tracking over 6,000 of these cyber conferences and events, and any given day there's like 35 of them going on, and that does not include all the local dinners. Like that's
right,
which is wild, crazy, right? But like there's a special distinction. So TAPhelps brands, and you as the head there, you do things a little bit differently that I really enjoy, which is if you're doing a dinner or event in Atlanta or in Dallas or wherever, you're not just blanket cold emailing people and saying, hey, come to my dinner, right? Because like that's one of the worst things for a vendor. They spend a lot of money, and then the person or group that they've contracted is just SDR cold calling. And by the time the event comes, they're just trying to get warm bodies because they promised 10 people. Right. Tell me a little bit more about like how you bring and select people to actually come, because it's not just volume, it's the quality that matters, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I go off of, if I'm going to be spending time with people, I want to spend time with people that I like and that I connect with. And it's not to say, hey, there's people on my list that do not call list or anything like that. But I think the way that I do that is by the way that we pick vendors. And it's through recommendations, it's through referrals. And so the people in the community say, hey, I have a friend, let me invite my guy, or let me invite.
So the vendors ICP matters, and then you're looking at your network and extended network of people to bring to kind of match to that ICP as much as possible, and just really creating the opportunity to drive great connections. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yes, that's a fair way to say it. I would say with the caveat, especially what we're going into now, it's going to be about Sentinel. So it's about the ICP on the vendor side, but also there's a signal on the CISO side of who they wanted to talk to, what products they want to see. If you think about AI and what it's going to do over the next 5-10 years, the myriad of new technology that is going to come into the space, as a CISO, how do you know where to put your time? How do you know what vendors to talk to, what products to follow? Because it's going to be such a proliferation of new tech in the space. So I'm also looking at, what do the CISOs want? What's on your roadmap? What are you trying to do? And create that connection for them. So that's also, I look at that as well.
So because when they're in your ecosystem, you're maintaining that heartbeat. Hey, what's interesting, guys? What's gals? What's going on? Oh, I'm struggling with this. Okay, I've got a partner vendor who wants to do a dinner in that topic in this city. Who else might want to talk? And that way, the people who want to talk about a thing get to talk about a thing and experience that together, orchestrated, beautifully executed, with positive outcomes for everybody. Right? That's what it's.
Exactly.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what we want at the end of the day. We want, when we don't have a lot of time, we have more than enough that we have on our plate to do.
Yep.
And so if we're going to give our time a certain night or for an event or a conference, and then you want it to make sense for you. And so
100%.
Understanding I operate as the middle layer of translation. I understand what the vendors are looking for, and I understand what CISOs are looking for. And so it creates signal in between to where now I have this translation layer of saying, because I also was a CISO, of being able to say, okay, well, what needs to happen and what makes this worth it for everyone? And then, hey, let's connect.
But there's a really important piece that I think everyone needs to also get, which is this. You're not just recycling the same 10 people over and over. It's looking for people who have an interest in a particular market and being able to connect that, right? Because like we hear about the steak tourists, the same people who always go to dinner, they never buy anything. And you're like, they don't actually contribute anything to the conversation. And I always view that you have a good filter of like, okay, they're just here for a meal, so they don't get to come, right? Like, but that seems like it's just an integral part. Is it just one of the things you naturally do and is built into your process to kind of filter that out?
Yeah, no, it's a playbook that we have, because this doesn't work unless, when I say a human-based ecosystem, a relationship is mutual. And so there's not mutuality if one side is just benefiting, the other one is not. And so, like I said, for me, the translation layer is, okay, well, what does the vendor or the supplier side need? And what does the CISO need? And if it's a CISO, in our playbook, we're looking at, okay, well, who continues to come and not provide? Who are the ones that are really looking? And so
who's engaging, actually building?
Right.
Yeah, no, that makes that makes a ton of sense. Listen, we've been talking a bunch already. And what's the key takeaway differentiation thing that people should know about verified events, through Delve Risk and leveraging great organizations like yourself that kind of make you different from other steak eater dinners?
Yeah, so that's it. It's when you go to one of our verified events, when you go to a TAPhelps brands event, and then you're gonna connect. You're gonna connect with people, and it's gonna feel human. It's not gonna feel transactional. And then at the end of the day, I had a person that came to the event, and he said he has to come to the event again. And I said, why? He said, throughout the entire event, Troy, I was like, where's the pitch? Where's the pitch? Where's the pitch? So, until he got to the end, and he was like, there's no pitch. That's our events. He literally said he has to come again because he couldn't relax until it was in the end. And he was like, this guy truly does not have a pitch. He's just connecting us.
And the last thing I'll say is that, and that's a really, really powerful position for a sponsor to be in, right? Where they surprise the potential buyers by actually engaging and adding value, because when they come back later, it's like, hey, I actually never got a chance to hear what you guys do. Tell me more, right?
Exactly. It naturally happens all the time. We had events to where we're just having conversation, and the CISOs were so interested. It was like 5 follow-up calls that the vendor had, just based off of never pitched not once. 5 follow-up. The CISOs are asking, hey, let me get your information. Just because of it was good conversation, and now because of who we are, you're gonna get into that part of the conversation. You don't have to force.
I love it, and I think that's the final takeaway is that verified events help ensure that there are authentic connections, and that's how for Delverse, when we look at the partners that we're working with to provide verified events, we're looking for that authenticity, right? And
Right.
Troy, you and your team just always do an amazing job. So thank you very much for your time. This was exciting, and hopefully it's useful for everybody. Thanks, everybody.
No, thank you.